Hey, my name is Jesus Castillo for RubyGuides.com, and in this video we're going to talk about divisibility, the modulo operator, and the Fizzbuzz challenge. So what's this all about? Well, let's say you have a number. We're going to be talking about numbers and a little bit of math, but don't be afraid of it because it's really simple. Just division. So let's say we have the number 6, for example, and we want to know if this number is divisible by another number. What does it mean for a number to be divisible by another? Well, it means that when I divide this number, then I divide it in equal parts. So for example, if I divide 6 by 2, I get equal parts. I get 3 and 3. Because I divide 6 by 2. So that gives me 2 parts, 2 equal parts. There is nothing remaining. That's the important part. There is nothing remaining. But if I try to divide 6 by 4, how do we divide that? So if I try to do this with Ruby, we get 1, which doesn't make, it's not exact. We get 1.5. Right? So that's not an exact number. We want whole number, integers, to consider this a divisible value. So in this case, we can say that 6 is not divisible by 4. Why is this important? Okay, so before you say, oh, this is just some math video, well, this is important because with divisibility, you can tell, for example, if a number is even or if a number is odd. So this might come up on some coding interview, or it might come on an actual coding challenge that you're working on, or even in some of your own projects. If you're working some kind of game, some kind of video game that works with numbers, you're going to need to know this and things like that. So that's why it is important. So coding challenges, coding interviews, and things like games. This is where this concept is important. So now that we cover the basics, we understand what divisibility is. So as a reminder, divisibility means that we can divide, we can break down a number in equal parts. So how can we use this? How can we tell if a number is divisible by another in Ruby? Well, to start, the easy way is with even and odd methods. So we can say even ? And we get true or false. So 6 is even, 5 is not even. And then you also have the odd. Odd is false for 6, and odd is true for 5. So you can do this with any number, and you can see if it's even or odd. But what about more complex numbers? So if you want to know by 3, you want to know if it's divisible by 3, well, in this case, you can use the modulo operator. Because if you just divide Well, you can check if you have a whole number, and then you need to deal with floats and all of that. So the typical way to check divisibility is to use this, the percent symbol. We call this the modulo operator in Ruby. And what it does is it gives you the remaining. Remember how I said that the remaining of the division was important? Well, that's exactly what this modulo operator gives you when you use it. So what's happening here? So I have the number 100, the modulo operator, and 3. So this is our divisor. So we want to know if 100 can be exactly divided by 3. And to do that, we use this. And if we look at the output on the right, we can see it's 1. What does 1 mean? It means that it's not divisible by 3. Why? Because we have 1 remaining. If it was divisible by 3, then we won't have any remaining. It will be 0, in other words. So let's try with 2. We can see it's 0, meaning 100 can be exactly divided by 2. And we can also try 5, and we also get 0. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So to summarize, you can check like this, and this will give you true or false, whether based on the fact that this remaining of this division gives you this result. So now, let's see a practical application. There is one exercise that some people like to give in coding interviews, and it's called Fizzbuzz, like that. It's very popular, maybe not so much now, because a lot of people, when you study coding interviews, you study this challenge. So maybe they don't do it precisely because you already studied the solution if you are studying for coding interviews. It's still good to know. Maybe you come across a slightly different version of this. They make you solve a different version, slightly modified version. So if you know the original and you put some creativity into it, you should be able to solve it. So let's look into this challenge. What's the challenge? Well, the challenge, let me remove this. The challenge is to print the word fizz if the current number, so you go from 1 through 100. So let me write down from 1 to 100. And then for each number, you print fizz if the number is 3. And then buzz if the number is divisible by 5. If div by 5. And one more condition we could say is that you print fizz and buzz, both words in one, the both words together, if divisible by 3 and 5. So that's the challenge. As you can see, it's all about divisibility. And if you don't know what divisibility is or how to test for it in Ruby, then you will be completely lost. But since you're watching this video, you will know how to do it. So let's go through the exercise. So first, we will need the range, right? We will need, so there are several components. We will need this range, which in Ruby we can do like this. 1 through 100, that's our range. Then we need to check if the number is divisible by 3. We know how to do that. So we can do if the current number, let's say n, is divisible, the modulo operator, remember modulo, by 3 equals 0, meaning it's an exact division. Then we print this. Then we can do else if n modulo 5, then we're going to print buzz. Okay? And then the last condition is both. So if well, that should already work. Let's try this before we make more steps, okay? So I want to test this with one number. For example, test this with n equals 3. So let's run this. We get this. If we try this with 5, we get buzz. And now if we try this with a number that is both divisible by 3 and 5, which should be, let's think, maybe think 15. No, it's not. So let's go through our range. So let's do range dot each, then do n, and okay. So there we go. So we get, it will be helpful to print the number. So we know, okay. So we get, let's see, 3 fizz, 5 buzz, fizz, buzz, fizz. So I'm looking, okay. So it won't print both because it's an else if. Okay, so here comes the next part of the challenge, which is printing both fizz and buzz. So one thing we can do is choose out another else if and check for both. So we can do and now print fizz buzz. Let's see if we have any fizz buzz over here. I don't see any of them. Think is correct, but I don't see any Fizzbuzz. So I guess we don't have any. That's both divisible by 3 and 5. So the problem is printing fizz. Okay, so there is a little bit of logic trick. We're getting fizz because divisible by 3. So we need to change our logic for this to be like cumulative. So let me show you what I mean. So we need like an output kind of string, and then we're going to say output fizz, output buzz, And instead of else if, we're gonna do it like this. We don't need that. We can just do puts fizz. We need that puts buzz. Okay. And also we need them to be on the same line. So we can do print, and then we have this problem, but we can do puts if or how about that? I think we got it. We can even print the number, so we know. So as it turns out, 15 is indeed a Fizzbuzz number, as is 30, 45, 60, 75, 90. If you want to be fancy, we can even add a space. This is going to not work because, you see, so we need to do an interpolation, and there it goes. So that's the solution. So why didn't it work before? Because it stopped as soon as we had an if else if. So as soon as it found it matches the divisible by 3, it stopped. It didn't go to else if, because else if is exclusive with the first if. So it's only one or the other. It's only one or the other. Well, we have some cases where we want both. So yeah, this is the solution to the Fizzbuzz challenge, and as you can see, we use the modulo operator to solve it. So I hope you found this useful and interesting. If you did, please subscribe to the channel now so you can get more videos like this, and also give me a like so I know you like this content. Thanks for watching. See you in another video.